Hello and welcome to Create Crochet with me, Rebecca. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make each one of these squares to make your very own Stampylongnose pillow, and on the back is Iballistic-squid. I will also give you the pattern on how many squares you need to make and of what colours. So let's go and see the back. This is the other side of the pillow, and as you can notice the eyes are at the top of the pillow. Now in Iballistic-squid skin they are actually on the side of the head. Well, obviously I couldn't do that because this is a pillow, so this is the nearest I could get to it. So let's get the square started. This is the pattern for the Stampy cat. You'll need 24 orange, 22 white, 8 black, 6 grey and 4 green, and this is the order that they go in. And this is the pattern that I made up for the Iballistic-squid side of the pillow. You'll need 32 blue, 23 red, 9 white and 2 of a half black block. And that's the order that I put them in. I used the half blocks of black for the eyes. So now I'm going to show you how to make a square. So to make each square you'll need to go and get the colours along with some scissors just to snip off the loose ends, a hook. Now I chose yarn and they all required a size 5mm hook or a US size H, and I'm going to show you how to do it with just this red yarn here. So let's get started. So to start your square you can either do a magic circle or a chain. If you're going to do a chain you need to do a chain 4 and then slip stitch to create a circle. So to do that you create your slip knot, like so, pull that one in, and then we're going to chain 4, so yarn over and bring through 1, 2, 3 and 4, come back to our first chain, push the hook through, yarn over and bring through. Let's move that bit out of the way. Bring through both of these 2 loops on your hook. So that's 1 and 2, and then crochet into the middle of the circle. I prefer, when I'm doing this, to create a solid gap in the middle so that there isn't actually a gap. So I'm going to show you how to do a magic circle. So you have the short length which is not attached to the yarn, and then it goes on and the rest is attached to the ball. With the short piece, hold it in your hand and secure it with your thumb. With these 2 fingers here you're going to wrap your yarn over your fingers and create an exaggerated cross like that. So you have a top piece and a bottom piece. You're going to, with your hook, go underneath the bottom and grab hold of the top one and bring through, and as you come through, twist. Hold on to all of this here and chain 1. The only reason why you chain 1 is to secure your loop. It doesn't actually count as any stitch at all. Now with the loop you can see that it's got this piece here in the actual loop. I always take it out, it's just easier, just take it out of that loop. It won't affect anything in the long run. So the stitch that we're going to be using for our square is a UK treble crochet, and in the US it's called a double crochet. So we're going to do 21 stitches into this loop here. So to do the double crochet or the treble crochet, however you reference it, yarn over your hook into that loop, catch the yarn, come through. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over again and bring through 2. So that's 1 and 2. Yarn over and bring through the last 2 on your hook, and that's number 1. So we're going to do this 21 times. Through 2 and through 2, and that's your second one. Three, 4. Now as I'm working, I am holding on to this loop here just to keep it all steady. And then when I get to this stage, I hold on to my work. So through 2 and 2. So there's something I just wanted to show you. This is how your work will start to look. Now if the phone rings or the children need you or something happens where you have to put your crochet down and you lose count as to where you are, I just want to show you how to count how many double crochets or treble crochets you've actually done. So as you can see, this piece of work is made up of these lines, these horizontal lines here, going down. Each one of those lines is a stitch. So that's a stitch there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you put your hook back in and just tighten it up. So we've done 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and the last one for 21. And that's round 1 complete. So another thing I wanted to show you is how to recognise the top from the bottom, because we are going to slip stitch into the top of our first stitch that we just made. So at the bottom you can see that the yarn has gone round our magic loop here, and at the top we have like a braid effect here. I also call them kisses, because if you do that, they look like kisses. Yay! So we're going to move this piece out of the way and slip stitch to the top of our first stitch. So making sure that all the looped bits are on the inside. The first one that we did is this first kiss here, and we're going to put our hook through both loops on the hook, yarn over and bring through 1 and 2, and that's a slip stitch. So this gap looks quite big in the middle here. With this short piece that isn't attached to the yarn, pull, and it brings it all together like so. So the next and final round to do the squares for your Stampylongnose and Iballistic-squid cushion is chain 1. That's just to get to the next round. That doesn't count as an actual proper stitch when we're doing this square. We're going to go yarn over, and we're going to go back into this section here. Like so. So the pattern is, we're going to do a stitch in the next 4, and on the 5th stitch we're going to do 5 stitches in 1. Now those 5 stitches give us our squared corner. So that was 1. Oops, didn't go yarn over. 2. And when you're putting your hook through the kiss, make sure you pick up the top and the bottom of your kiss. So that was 2. 3. 4. Now, as I said, into this 5th stitch we're going to do 5 stitches in 1. So that's 1, and you can see where this has come through. We're going to go back into this one here for 2, and into the same one for 3, and in again 4, and in again for 5, and that will give you your corner. So we started off with a circle, but to make a square you obviously need the corners. Now it doesn't look like a corner right now. When you go into the next stitch it will gather all this up here. So when you go into the next stitch you must remember to go into this next stitch here and not into this one here, otherwise you're effectively skipping one. So we're going to go in there. I keep forgetting to do yarn over. So we're going to go over there, in, and that will gather everything up to give you your corner. So that was 1, 2, 3, and 4 singles. And on the 5th one again we're going to do the corner. So you can really see now the corner. So in here we're going to do 1, back into the same one for 2, 3, 4, and 5, and making sure when I come out of this I pick up the very next stitch for my first one of the 4. So keep going round until you have your 4 corners. It won't take long, and I will meet you back at this position here where we'll finish off our square. I've just done my 5th stitch to make my last corner, and we're going to slip stitch to finish the whole thing off. Now, as I showed you before, you can count your stitches by the bars or the posts. So what we're going to do is, this is where you have to use your initiative a little bit. If I was to slip stitch into this stitch here, I would have a dip in my square, which would be no good when I came to sew them all together to do my cushion. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into the second one here, so it squares it off a little bit better at the top. So through both, yarn over and just create our slip stitch by coming through one and coming through two, and that is your square made. So we're going to snip this section off, but I'm going to leave about that much and come through. Do you see what I mean by if I was to go into this one here, it would have a dip here where that knot is, whereas because I've gone to the second double crochet or treble crochet, whatever you call it, it has squared this line off at the top. It just makes it a lot neater when you come to put your cushion together and sew all your squares together. So you have this piece here that you've just knotted off. Now we need to weave this in. So you need your needle, and we're going to just weave in this one end. So where the knot is, put the needle in and just come across. So you can't see the needle that side or that side, and I push it through all the way to the end and pull through. And it's at this stage that I gather all my work together, so it kind of puckers like that. Snip as close as I dare to my actual work without cutting it. Trust me, done that one before. And snip it off. Now open your work out, and that has made that piece of yarn nice and secure. If you don't weave in your ends, this knot can actually come undone. So now we have this one here, which was the one that we made with to make our magic loop. I'm going to pull that magic loop tighter still. Really quite firm I'm pulling on that, so it really closes up that middle square. That middle circle, I beg your pardon, I don't even know my shapes anymore. So thread our needle again with that piece, and we want to make sure that this circle, see I do know my shapes, yay, this circle stays as closed as possible. So we're going to work it through this actual circle here, through one side and out through the other side, and bring your needle through. Keep the loop here and put your needle through that loop and pull, and you've created a knot. So this is the back of your work and this will be the front of your work, and it has really closed this circle up, and then we can weave this end in. So just go through the work again. Pop the needle through, pull so it gathers your work, or I like the word puckered. Snip it off and stretch your work out, and that is your square. Now if you rewind the video, you'll see how many squares you need of each colour, but that essentially is your square. Now when you come to sew the squares together, you're going to need to find the definite corner of each of these squares, and this is why I showed you how to count each one of your stitches. So you'll be able to see where your corner is, because you'll see the 5 stitches that you did. Okay, so you'll be able to count 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 as your corner cluster. When you sew them together, find the third one. So that's 1, 2 and 3. You come to the top, and that is the top of that one. So when you sew your squares together, what I did was I laid all my squares out unsewn together, pretending that's crocheted, all of them together like that. And to start off with, instead of sewing them all together at the same time, I did the corners first. I just tacked the corners together so I could see the corners, and then I was able to sew in a straight line all the way down one section. So let me show you that one again. So spread the work out like so, and you'll be able to see the cluster of 5 stitches. You need to find the third one, which is 1, 2 and 3, this one here, and that is where you will need to sew the corners edges together. So on Iballistic-squids, as I said before, you have his funny little eyes here. I'm going to show you how to create a mini square. But it's going to be slightly different to the way that we've just done it. Let me get my black yarn. And move the red one out of the way. Instead of doing this one in a circle, we're going to do a straight square. So you will need to chain for this one. So create your slip knot, go round and bring the long piece through and catch it. And I'm going to chain 4, so that's 1, 2, 3 and 4, and now chain an extra 2, 1 and 2, and notice I'm holding the chain on the 4th one. If you wanted to count, that would be 1 and that would be 2. These extra 2 class as your first stitch. So we're going to go yarn over and through and bring off the 2 and bring off the 2. It's exactly the same stitch that you did for your squares. And we're going to go back along the chain into each chain. And then into the last, oh no, it's not the last one. Getting ahead of myself as usual. So this is how to create a square 2 ways. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and our chain. So that's 5. So that's chain 2 to get to the next row up, turn our work and come back along. It's not easy seeing it in black. Do you know what, I'm going to show you how to do it in the red, because I think the camera will pick up the red a little bit more. So let's do that again. I'm sorry about that. So we're going to make our slip knot as we just did with the black. And we're going to chain 4. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 4 counts as our base chain, and then holding this section here we're going to chain an extra 2, so that's 1 and 2, yarn over and come through this one, so that chain counts as our first stitch, that's our second one. We're going to keep going all the way along the chain, so into this next one, and then into this one. Chain 2 to get up to our next one, which counts as our first stitch, and then back along. I'm sorry about that black, I wasn't convinced that the camera was picking it up. If you can get the top 2 loops, please do. It will just make your work a little bit neater. And then into this one. and then into the chain. Make sure you go into the chain and not the chain space. This is what we call a chain space, when there's a gap through the chain. It is a bit of a faff, but you must go through the actual chain itself. So that's the half block made. Now squidge that out, and that makes your half block square for his eye, which is this one here on the actual pattern, or if I show you on the cushion, you just grab it, this bit here just to make his eye. I did the eye in cream just to make sure it was different from the white here, just so it stands out a little bit more. It's up to you. You can do it the same as that, or you can do it all in white, but that's your half block there. So I hope that you really liked my video. I thoroughly enjoyed making it, and I really did enjoy making my Iballistic-squid and Stampylongnose cushion for my son. I hope he's going to enjoy it when I give it him. Let me know your comments and your thoughts, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thanks for watching Create Crochet.